Gregg Jarrett is an outstanding lawyer. Now, how do I know that? Because I watch him on the Fox News channel, particularly on Hannity's show. He's got an amazing book out now, The Russia Hoax, the illicit scheme to clear Hillary Clinton and frame Donald Trump. Mr. Jarrett, how are you, sir?
Mark, I'm happy to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a great pleasure. This is a really thoroughly written and researched book. First of all, I want to ask you a question. Where did you find the time to write this?
You know, I just made the time. If you really want to do something badly enough, you can make the time. I started writing in December. I wrote 7 hours a day, 7 days a week until I finished the book at the end of April, and then a month of additions and revisions. So, it's a grueling process, but you know this. You've done this.
You cover everything from Hillary Clinton into what's happening with Donald Trump. Since we have a limited amount of time, I want to jump right in.
Okay.
One of your very, very important chapters is on this issue of obstruction of justice, which seems to be the default position, or likely the default position, of Mr. Mueller. So what's wrong with that?
It's just not justified under the law. As you know, you're a lawyer. It's not obstruction of justice for a president to exercise his constitutional duty. Nor was it a corrupt act as the law demands when Trump expressed his hope or wish that Michael Flynn, would be cleared of wrongdoing. Those are the two alleged counts against Trump that people in the media in particular have been making, and Democrats. And nowhere in the law can that be found or justified. So it's one of the many canards of the Trump-Russia collusion hoax.
And Gregg Jarrett, exactly how, playing devil's advocate, has Donald Trump obstructed the investigation into Russia? He has a funny way of doing it, considering Congress is going full bore, the special counsel is going full bore, 1,000 reporters are going full bore. Exactly how has he obstructed it?
He hasn't obstructed it at all. And in fact, so many people point to the interview that Trump did shortly after he fired James Comey, the interview with Lester Holt. Has anybody actually read the transcript of that interview? And I go through it in my book, and I lay it out. And I show people the transcript. I reprint it in the book. And what you'll see there is that President Trump is telling Lester Holt, I just wanted somebody to be competent. I wanted somebody who could handle the investigation properly. So here is a man who is actually trying to fix the investigation so it is done right, not to obstruct it.
We have some breaking news this evening, Gregg Jarrett, and that is conservatives in the House of Representatives are in fact moving on impeaching Rod Rosenstein. Mm-hmm. And you speak extensively about Rod Rosenstein. What's the problem with Rod Rosenstein?
He has repeatedly defied lawful subpoenas about the origins of the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. He treats Congress with contempt, and he should be held in contempt and impeached. Mark, this is a guy who has been covering up and obstructing justice. And as I argue in the book, there was no legal basis to launch the investigation of Trump and his campaign. There was no probable cause. There was never any credible evidence that crimes were committed. There was never any plausible intelligence to justify a counterintelligence probe. They invented or exaggerated facts, and Rosenstein was in on it. It was a manufactured hoax by high-ranking officials within the FBI and the Department of Justice. Rosenstein, who signed on one of the renewals, he knew that dossier was phony and fabricated. He didn't care, and he affixed his signature to it, and he vouched for its truth and authenticity, and in doing so, Rosenstein perpetrated a fraud on the court and committed what is a felony violation, abuse of power.
And so he signs an extension to the FISA warrant. He's friends with Mueller. As a matter of fact, his first real job at the Justice Department was with Mueller in the Public Integrity Unit. He's close friends with Comey. Under what definition is this an independent investigation by Mr. Mueller when he rubber stamps damn near everything?
It is not at all independent, and in fact, it is the perfect example of a biased, unobjective. It is the witch hunt that Donald Trump claims it is. As I point out in the book, The Russia Hoax, I go through, the Department of Justice regulations and the Code of Professional Responsibility. You are not, as a lawyer, allowed to be both prosecutor and witness in the same case.
Yeah, right.
It's worse for Rosenstein because he's not only prosecutor and witness, he's overseeing the investigation, which makes him an investigator, and he decides what action to be taken at the conclusion of it, which makes him essentially judge and jury. So he's wearing all of these conflict of interest hats, and the regulations demand his recusal, and his failure to do so, Mark, you know this as a lawyer, this is a clear violation of the Code of Professional Responsibility, and this is the kind of stuff that people get disbarred for. So yes, Rosenstein should be held in contempt. He should be impeached. The problem is, to get impeachment in the Senate on a conviction is 2/3. In the House, you'd even have trouble, getting the articles passed. So, that's the swamp.
Why do you think? It's a good point. Why do you think the Speaker and the Republican leadership are very? They don't want to pursue this. I mean, politics aside, sometimes you have to do what's right. Why do you think they don't want to do it?
Because they don't have a backbone and they don't care about what's right or wrong. These are feckless individuals. And, it's a sad commentary on the leadership of the Republican Party up on Capitol Hill. But, the face of it in the House is Paul Ryan. And I must tell you, of the many members of Congress that I talk to on a routine basis, they are looking forward to the day that Paul Ryan says goodbye at the end of the year.
The abuse of our intelligence agencies and the FBI in this particular case against candidate Trump, Trump world, President-elect Trump, and even now Trump, there really are no parallels in American history, are there?
No, I don't think so. And look, I was a young man during Watergate. I'm 63 years old, so I lived through that national nightmare, and that was a bad one. This, in my judgment, is 10 times worse. These are people in high positions of government who decided to abuse their positions of power to subvert the rule of law and undermine a democratic process called an election. When they failed to stop Trump from becoming president, they doubled down and decided, we'll destroy him and undo the election results because we know better than those deplorables, the American voters.
Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, this book is really very, very well done. You lay out the case against Hillary Clinton and what was done by the federal government, the FBI in particular, to protect her, to fix that case, if you will. And then in the matter of Donald Trump, as you so exquisitely lay out chapter after chapter, there is no matter of Donald Trump. It's all a fiction. It's all a fabrication. And if people want the specifics, if they want the beginning to end, and you really do a great job, and if they want to give this book to a liberal friend or somebody who's not sure what's going on, by the time they're done reading it, if they have any level of reading comprehension, they will. I think you make the prosecutor's case against Hillary Clinton and against those who've been going after Donald Trump. So well done, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your talking about the book. I know you've read it. I sent you an advance copy, and I know
you signed it. That was nice of you.
You're the kind of guy who reads books. You're well read. It shows every time you appear on air on Fox News, where I watch you all the time. I love your show on Sunday night, and I love your radio show. So, for me, this was a real thrill to be on with you, and hope you'll have me back again.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to have you back in 2 or 3 weeks because we haven't really hit enough of the book. We've kind of talked about it generally, but there's specific things I want to go over with you. So
I'd love to do that.
I want to strongly encourage you Levinites out there, and it's up on Mark Levin Show Facebook, Mark Levin Show Twitter. It's on my website, but better yet, I'm telling you about it. It's called The Russia Hoax by Gregg Jarrett. You know who Gregg Jarrett is. The illicit scheme to clear Hillary Clinton and frame Donald Trump. I would recommend, Gregg Jarrett, you sign a few copies of this and send it to like Mueller and Comey and McCabe just to annoy them.
I don't think they're going to like it because I really go after them in this book for all of their wrongdoing. And, they're biased. That these are people who should be nowhere near the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Well, next time we have you back, I want to talk about Brennan and Clapper and that whole crowd. But in the meantime, folks, before we get Gregg back, I would ask you to read up on it. Again, the book is The Russia Hoax by Gregg Jarrett. Good luck, my friend. You take care.
Thank you so much, Mark. Take care.
All right. It's a great book. It really is. And I like the way it's laid out, too. It's got good chapters, and also in the back, the sources. I mean, the sources. He's got page after page after page to justify the positions that he's taking. You can look at the original sources yourself. This is the kind of book you might want to get your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, but it is the kind of book that you're going to want to devour over the summer. Now, this Gregg Jarrett, you've seen him on Fox, you've seen him on Hannity. He's kind of a lawyer's lawyer, in my humble opinion. And when you spend time writing a book like this, you put it all on your sleeve. And I've gone through this book. And it's in plain English, but it is loaded with facts, with information, and with evidence. And when you turn to the back of the page, the back of the book, which is where I go first, and you look at the notes section, notes or endnotes as they call them, there are hundreds of them. Now that tells you the book is well researched. He's done a lawyer's job. And that's what I do with my books, with the notes in the back. People want to double check something, then double check it. And he wears multiple hats as an author here. In the case of Hillary Clinton, he lays out her lawlessness. Fact by fact, statute by statute. In terms of the cover-up, the fix is in, as he calls it, or the chapter is called The Fix. In that chapter, which is excellent, he lays out the cover-up. But that's not all. He moves on to what they've been doing to Trump. He lays out the case about the senior level of the FBI, the intelligence agencies, the FISA court, the dossier. Very detailed. The efforts to prevent Donald Trump from serving as president before, during, and after his election. And he calls out the culprits. So it's not your usual fare. I think you're really going to enjoy this book. It's The Russia Hoax, The Illicit Scheme to Clear Hillary Clinton and Frame Donald Trump by Gregg Jarrett. You can go to Amazon.com. Go to any of my social sites. Mark Levin Show Facebook, Mark Levin Show Twitter. And I recommend it. We've had a lot of good authors on the program. We've got another one coming. One is, who is Greg Gutfeld. He hasn't been on this show in years. I didn't think he liked me anymore. But I must say, as I watch him on the 5, I really do, I've got a new look at him. I think he's really hitting it out of the park. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, and emergency personnel, and ICE. See you later, ladies and gentlemen. As a matter of fact, make it tomorrow. By the way, check out Levin TV. We have a great one for you tonight as well. See you tomorrow.